Fear is the invisible jailer that traps 90% of people in a life they hate. Today, you will destroy fear.
Have you ever stopped to think about how many opportunities, how many dreams, how many achievements you let slip away, simply because fear got the better of you? The truth that few have the courage to tell you is that the fear you feel is not real. It is a creation, a lie whispered by your subconscious, fed by years of limiting beliefs and invisible patterns that sabotage your personal growth. Napoleon Hill already said, "Fear is just an idea, and ideas can be replaced." What if I told you that the only thing separating you from a life of abundance, wealth, and manifestation of your greatest desires is the decision to take control today? It seems simple, I know, but few actually have the courage to break these invisible chains and choose positive thinking, daily motivation, real personal development. What you will learn here today can break decades of mental prison in minutes, if you are ready to see the truth. And I'll warn you, some things I'm going to reveal to you may seem controversial at first glance. After all, we were taught to fear fear, to respect fear, to live to avoid it. But what if fear is actually your greatest ally in disguise? What if what you've avoided the most until today is precisely the key to unlocking your mind power and achieving everything you've ever dreamed of? So take advantage and subscribe to the channel right now. It is very important for the growth of our work and, mainly, for you to continue receiving content that will help you strengthen your success mindset, reprogram your mind for abundance, and manifest the life you deserve to live. Now take a deep breath, because what comes next could change the way you view fear, and change, once and for all, the direction of your life. Discover now the 6 great fears, according to Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, absolute master of personal development, identified, in his study on the power of the mind, 6 great invisible monsters that paralyze humanity: the fear of poverty, criticism, illness, loss of love, old age, and death. These fears, rooted deep in the subconscious, silently sabotage personal growth and block the manifestation of abundance. When a person surrenders to these forces, they put the brakes on their own professional and spiritual development without even realizing it. To enrich your life and unlock the path to success, it is vital to understand the mechanics of these fears. After all, how can you manifest a prosperous reality while carrying invisible weights in your soul? Each of these great fears acts like an anchor on the back of those looking for motivation to grow. The fear of poverty, for example, prevents many from accepting incredible professional development opportunities, simply for fear of failure. Fear of criticism sabotages dreams before they even get off the ground, while fear of illness weakens belief in one's own body and in the power of positive thinking. These fears are masters of wearing convincing masks, appearing to be prudence, caution, or responsibility, but behind they hide the limiting beliefs that Napoleon Hill warned about so much in his philosophy of personal growth. Imagine a person who dreams of becoming an entrepreneur and achieving wealth, but carries within himself the constant fear of criticism from others. Whenever she thinks about starting, she remembers a time she was made fun of and decides to back off. This behavior, repeated throughout life, creates mental patterns as solid as steel, and without mental reprogramming, it will be difficult to break this cycle. Self-improvement, self-discipline, and continuous work on replacing negative thoughts with affirmations of power are key to winning this invisible battle. The fear of losing love is also insidious. It often prevents people from being authentic, shaping their actions to please others and abandoning their own dreams. This, in addition to sabotaging personal development, also undermines the power of conscious manifestation. How can someone manifest a life of abundance if they live in the shadow of external approval? Here, the daily practice of self-esteem and emotional independence affirmations becomes vital to cultivating the success mindset that Napoleon Hill so emphasized. We cannot ignore the fear of old age and death, which silently steal people's vital energy, causing them to live in constant anxiety. Instead of taking each day as an opportunity for personal growth, many waste their strength imagining illnesses they will never have, or tragedies that will never occur. Motivation, in this case, must be guided by the awareness that each moment is a real chance for evolution, for manifestation, for creating a rich and full reality now, and not tomorrow. These 6 great fears are not just emotional obstacles. They manifest physically in the body, creating illnesses, energy blockages, and self-destructive patterns. Napoleon Hill taught that recognizing these fears is the first step to liberation, and freeing yourself from them is like opening a floodgate of mind power and transforming fear into a vital force of motivation, growth, and conscious manifestation. A little exercise that helps a lot? Every day, list 5 reasons why you are stronger than your fears. And now that you understand how these 6 fears shape your life without you realizing it, it's time to understand what happens when we allow fear to paralyze our most precious opportunities. You know that dream that seems so alive inside your head but never leaves its place? Well, Napoleon Hill teaches us that most of the time, it's not a lack of talent, luck, or opportunity. It's fear. Fear paralyzes the legs, freezes ideas, muffles the brightness of dreams. When it takes over, the person sees a chance passing by and thinks, "I'll try later." But deep down, it's the mind sabotaged by limiting beliefs that sets the pace. Personal growth dies in inertia, and the power of the mind becomes shackled by negative thinking. Imagine a magical bridge that connects you to your greatest desire, to become rich, find abundance, develop your career. Now imagine that. Before crossing, you hear a voice whispering, "What if you fail?" This voice is fear sabotaging your professional development, blocking the flow of motivation and manifestation. How many people do you know who have incredible dreams, but are paralyzed? Lots of. And almost all of them could change their lives with simple mental reprogramming practices and courage affirmations. Fear is insidious because it disguises itself as prudence. It's better to wait for the right moment. It's not safe yet. I need to prepare more. And then, what seemed like a sensible attitude turns into an invisible prison. The truth is that there will never be a perfect moment. Napoleon Hill once said, "Opportunity doesn't knock on the door, it runs by." Those who don't have the self-discipline to act quickly end up watching other people manifest the success they could have also achieved. Positive thinking is the engine. Hesitation is the brake. Think of someone who dreams of working abroad, completely changing their life and achieving wealth. She researches, dreams, plans, but never sends her CV, never signs up for the exchange. What holds this person back is not lack of ability. It is paralyzing fear disguised as caution. If you had used the power of your mind to strengthen your positive thinking, perhaps you would be living your dreams today. This is why personal development is urgent, and not something for when there is time. Napoleon Hill emphasized, the difference between successful people and ordinary people is that successful people act despite their fear. It's not that they don't feel fear, it's that they don't let it paralyze their opportunities. In the game of life, fear is the invisible opponent, but motivation, manifestation, and belief in self-improvement are your secret weapons to defeat it. And the more you use these weapons, the stronger you become, until manifesting dreams becomes natural, almost automatic. There is a phrase that you need to keep in your heart. If you don't act out of fear, you will be creating exactly the reality you fear most. A fear not faced today is a dream buried tomorrow. And it is at this very moment, as you read these words, that you need to ask yourself, what opportunities am I missing out of fear? If you want to destroy this invisible prison, you need to start shielding yourself now with the power of affirmations, positive thinking, and a success mindset. And speaking of dangerous disguises, get ready, because in the next step we're going to reveal how fear uses a mask of prudence to deceive you. And if you don't recognize this in time, you could be sabotaging your own life without even realizing it. Napoleon Hill, with his incomparable wisdom about the power of the mind, warned, fear is a master of disguises. He often dons the elegant garb of prudence to appear rational, logical, even wise. But in fact, it silently sabotages your personal growth and professional development. How many times have you heard or said to yourself, this isn't the right time? This thought most of the time is just varnished fear. It takes self-discipline to see beyond the surface and unmask this emotional trap. Fear loves to tell convincing stories. Wait a little longer to start your project. Better to save more money before investing. You don't have enough experience yet. This all seems so reasonable, doesn't it? But it's just negative thinking disguised as common sense. What Napoleon Hill teaches us is that true prudence comes from study, from conscious preparation, and not from procrastination based on limiting beliefs. Daily self-improvement and mental reprogramming help to differentiate a wise decision from disguised sabotage. A clear example of this? Think about those who dream of starting a business, but never leave their current job because the market is unstable. Meanwhile, people with the same reality, but who have cultivated a success mindset, are thriving. Those who act based on the power of the mind and the active manifestation of their desires know that prudence is not paralysis. It is preparation combined with action. The motivation to win can never be left until tomorrow. It is cultivated today, in the daily practice of small acts of courage. It is important to learn to listen to your true intuition, the one that is born from the connection with the higher self and not the false instinct manipulated by fear. How to do this? One practice that Napoleon Hill suggests is the habit of asking yourself powerful questions, such as, does this decision take me closer or further from my purpose of getting rich and living abundantly? This simple exercise activates positive thinking, strengthens motivation, and prevents fear, with its mask of prudence from dictating your choices. Note that great leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries practice action aligned with real prudence. They assess risks, yes, but they never let fear paralyze them. There is a huge difference between being prudent and being a slave to fear. And it is precisely this ability to discern that builds true abundance and true personal development. The manifestation of big dreams comes to those who act even in the face of doubt, even when the mind tries to scream that it is safer to stay where it is. To start breaking this cycle of self-deception, practice what I call the daily mental audit. At the end of each day, write down 3 situations where you chose true prudence, and 3 where perhaps it was just fear. Just by doing this for a week, you will see a huge transformation in your success mindset. The power of the mind is like a muscle. The more you exercise positive thinking, the easier it becomes to manifest opportunities and grow in all areas of life. Now, if you thought it was interesting to see how fear disguises itself, wait until you see where does it really come from, and how it silently settles there in your subconscious, taking root without you even realizing it. What we are going to discover next is capable of completely changing the way you see your own thoughts and your ability to manifest. Fear and its subconscious origin. Have you ever wondered why you feel afraid of things that, rationally, don't even make sense? Napoleon Hill explains that the root of fear is not in logic, but in deep layers of the subconscious mind. From childhood, we are conditioned by words, experiences, traumas, and even our parents' beliefs. These programming shape our perception of reality and generate an automatic reaction to the unknown. It's as if there is an internal, silent alarm that goes off whenever we try to break old patterns and seek personal growth. These fears are not always visible. Often they hide in thoughts that seem normal. This isn't for me. It won't work. It's better to stay as is. These phrases are like mental viruses, programmed into the subconscious over the years, fed by negative thinking, and reinforced by experiences of failure or the fear of failure. The most dangerous? Most people don't even know that they are living with these limiting beliefs, blocking their ability to express themselves and their professional development. The good news is that the mind is reprogrammable. Napoleon Hill argued that through repetition of powerful affirmations, self-discipline, and constant vigilance over one's thoughts, it is possible to rewrite the mental codes that control your life. A practical exercise. Every morning, repeat out loud, I am greater than my fears. My mind is a source of abundance, power, and growth. This simple habit can begin to dissolve years of subconscious sabotage. Mental reprogramming is one of the most powerful tools to activate your mind power and transform fear into motivation. Now, if you've come this far, it's because something inside you wants more. More understanding, more freedom, more control over your own life. So, take advantage and subscribe to the channel right now. This is very important for the growth of our work and also to ensure that you never miss the next videos that will help you on this profound journey of personal development, success mindset, and emotional liberation. With each new content, you will feel like you are peeling back a layer of what is stopping you from manifesting the life you truly deserve. It is important to understand that the subconscious mind does not judge. It does not think. It just accepted. If you repeat every day that you're not capable, that you don't deserve it, that you can't do it. She believes it. But if you feed it with positive affirmations, mental images of success and feelings of worthiness, it begins to build a new reality. It's like planting seeds of abundance in fertile soil. Over time, they germinate. This is how manifestation becomes natural. From a clear mental ground, conscious and aligned with what you want. You can clearly see this in people who live on autopilot. They don't know why they are stagnant, why they live in fear, why they can't get rich even if they try so hard. The answer is inside, in the internal stories that they repeat every day. Stories that say, you are not good enough. You will fail. You were not born for this. These inner voices need to be confronted with strength, courage, and new truths. This is the true path to self-improvement. And if you think the subconscious is powerful, wait until you understand what happens when you decide to act courageously despite your fear. Because there is something stronger than any saboteur: movement. And in the next step, you will discover how action it can be the immediate remedy to dissolve any fear and open the portal of true manifestation. Napoleon Hill, in his wisdom that spans generations, reminds us, fear does not resist action. It seems simple, but it is a profound truth that few put into practice. When you act, even in fear, the power of the mind kicks in and the invisible monsters begin to shrink. Personal growth happens precisely when you challenge your limiting beliefs and show your subconscious that you are in charge. It doesn't matter if the action is small. What matters is not letting fear take deep roots within you. It's like walking through a dark hallway. While you just imagine what's inside, fear grows, takes monstrous forms in your head. But if you take the first step, with each movement the lights start to come on. In professional development and manifesting abundance, the same thing happens. Those who wait for fear to pass to act never leave their place. Those who act despite fear discover that courage is born in walking. Positive thinking without action becomes just a dream. Positive thinking with action becomes reality. You know that project you've been putting off? That important conversation you need to have? That personal development course you wanted to start? These are all turning points waiting for a small movement from you. Want a powerful exercise for today? Choose a single action that you have been avoiding and do it within 24 hours. It can be something simple: sending a message, making a call, taking the first step in an enrichment plan. The manifestation of dreams happens in the field of action, not hesitation. Napoleon Hill talks about the importance of self-discipline as one of the pillars of success. And part of that discipline is taking action before the mind starts making excuses. Because, my friend, the mind is creative. It will justify everything to keep you safe. But security without growth is prison. And those who seek true self-improvement know that living means taking risks, facing discomfort, acting even with your heart racing. It is on the edge of fear that the most extraordinary life begins to happen. Taking action is more than moving the body. It is moving the soul towards what you want to manifest. It's sending a clear message to the universe. I trust myself. I trust the process. I choose growth. Every action, no matter how small, breaks a link in the invisible chains created by limiting beliefs. And when you repeat this day after day, you create a new identity based on abundance, true motivation, and empowered positive thinking. Imagine now if you decided to act with determination for the next 30 days, every day, without fail. How much would change? How many fears would evaporate? How many new opportunities for personal growth, professional development, and enrichment would come your way? Daily action is the most direct road to mental reprogramming, to conscious manifestation, to the definitive destruction of internal saboteurs. It's the secret that Napoleon Hill revealed, but that few actually apply. And if you already understand that taking action is the immediate antidote to fear, then get ready. Because in the next step we will unveil the silent fears who sneakily continue to sabotage your dreams, even when you think you are already in control, and they are more dangerous than you imagine. But before we go any further, tell me one thing: does this content make sense to you? So enjoy and click like and subscribe to our channel. This is very important for us, as it really encourages us to continue on this journey. Have you signed up yet? So now let's continue. There are fears that scream loudly, and there are fears that whisper so quietly that you don't even realize they are there. Napoleon Hill drew attention to these invisible saboteurs who live in the subconscious, eroding motivation and blocking personal development without making a fuss. These silent fears manifest as procrastination, self-sabotage, mediocre choices, and repetitive patterns of failure. It's as if, without realizing it, you're digging your own hole while swearing you're trying to climb up. Silent fear is cunning. It disguises itself as conformity. Have you ever found yourself thinking, "Oh, maybe this isn't for me?" Or, "Life is difficult. Few succeed. It's normal for it not to work out." These thoughts are seeds planted by limiting beliefs that fuel stagnation. What starts as simple discouragement turns into a permanent mental state of inertia, and the person doesn't even realize that they are increasingly distant from manifesting the wealth, abundance, and growth they so desire. Identifying these fears requires brutal courage and honesty with yourself. It's not enough to want to grow. You have to face the internal mirror and ask, what inside me still believes that I don't deserve to prosper? This type of deep self-evaluation is what separates those who live on the surface from those who delve into true self-improvement. Napoleon Hill teaches that the first step to transformation is awareness. Only that which is enlightened can be healed. A practical example. Imagine someone who, every time they are about to receive a promotion, starts making silly mistakes at work. Unconsciously, this person fears success. She is afraid of being judged, of failing in a new position, of losing the love of those who are jealous of her. Result? It sabotages its own ascension. This is the destructive power of silent fear. Without mental reprogramming, without powerful daily affirmations, these patterns keep repeating themselves like an invisible and cruel loop. That's why it's essential to do a powerful exercise. Write down in a notebook all the fears you identify, even the silliest ones. Write without filters. Then, next to each fear, write an opposite, positive, empowering affirmation. This simple habit consciously activates the power of the mind and begins to replace negative thinking with a true success mindset. Transforming beliefs is transforming destiny. Whoever dominates the mind manifests the reality they choose to live. Understand, silent fears do not disappear on their own. They need to be confronted, illuminated, and replaced. It's daily work, but liberating. And the reward is gigantic. Emotional freedom, genuine motivation, accelerated personal development, and abundance becoming a natural part of your life. Make no mistake. The fear you ignore today is the saboteur that prevents you from getting rich tomorrow. Facing this is an act of courage that few have, but that forever transforms those who decide to face it. And while we're talking about transforming reality, wait until you understand what happens when you not only recognize your fears, but transform each one of them into the fuel for your greatest achievements. Now you will discover how to use your own fears as action engine, accelerating your results in a way that few have the courage to try. Napoleon Hill taught us a truth that few have the courage to face. Fear, when understood and channeled, becomes the most powerful energy for transformation. It is like fire. It can burn and destroy, or it can heat and forge. Those who learn to turn their fears into action unlock a power of the mind that creates accelerated personal growth, solid professional development, and the true manifestation of abundance. What once paralyzed now drives. The difference? The direction you choose to give this energy. Imagine fear as a wild beast chained inside you. If you ignore it or try to stifle it, it becomes unpredictable and dangerous. But if you tame it, it becomes a driving force. Instead of thinking, "I'm scared, I better stop," you start thinking, "I'm scared, therefore I'm on the path to evolution." This shift in perception is what creates a successful mindset. And this is how positive thinking, combined with bold action, generates extraordinary results. Transforming fear into a driver of action is a process that requires self-discipline and strategy. Start by identifying what exactly scares you. Name the fear. Look him in the eyes. Then, establish a small action that goes in the opposite direction to what he suggests. For example, if you are afraid of speaking in public, start by recording short videos for yourself. If you are afraid of investing, start by studying safe assets and simulating investments. Mental reprogramming happens in doing, not just in thinking. Fear is not the enemy. Paralysis is. When you understand this, your life changes forever. Every situation that previously generated a blockage becomes an opportunity to strengthen your inner power. Napoleon Hill always hit the nail on the head. True motivation does not come from the absence of fear, but from the conscious decision to act despite it. Anyone who learns to use fear as a driving force enters a spiral of evolution where personal growth accelerates and the manifestation of dreams becomes inevitable. You know that butterflies in your stomach you feel before doing something big. Don't fight him. Give thanks. It is the sign that you are leaving your old comfort zone, the one that imprisoned your dreams. It is there, exactly there, where wealth, abundance, and real personal development live. Positive thinking is trusting that even with fear you are capable. Powerful affirmations reinforce this belief. Constant action transforms this faith into tangible reality. Do you want a practical exercise to use fear as a driver? Every time you feel afraid, ask yourself this question. If I act now, what's the best that could happen? Visualize the best scenario. Feel the emotion of this victory, and without giving time for fear to retort, act immediately. This is how you program your mind to associate fear with achievement and not failure. This technique, taught in essence by Napoleon Hill, changes lives in an almost magical way for those who apply it consistently. And now that you're beginning to see fear no longer as a villain, but as a potential force of creation, imagine what happens when you combine this mindset with an ability to decide with speed and confidence. Because in the next step, we'll reveal the crucial role of quick decision in the definitive destruction of fears and in achieving the life you always dreamed of. One of the greatest revelations that Napoleon Hill brought us is the importance of quick decisions as a powerful weapon against fear. The indecisive mind is like an open field for limiting beliefs to grow. Every second of doubt is an invitation for negative thinking to creep in. When you decide quickly, you cut fear in the bud. You stop him from creating stories, from making excuses, from stealing your strength. Quick decision is the freedom cry of personal growth. We are not talking about acting impulsively, but about cultivating a mind trained to act with confidence. Those who cultivate the power of the mind understand that abundance, professional development, and the manifestation of dreams depend on movement, not hesitation. Quick decisions create energy, generate momentum, and keep motivation burning. Delay generates doubt, feeds fear, and strengthens stagnation. Which of these energies do you want to live in? Think about it. Everyone who got rich learned to decide quickly. Practical example. When an opportunity arises that is aligned with your purpose, decide within 24 hours. If it's an idea, an invitation, a project, an investment in personal development, analyze it quickly and act. Napoleon Hill observed that great leaders make strong decisions and change their minds slowly, while weak leaders hesitate too much and change constantly. This difference in behavior determines who manifests abundance and who is eternally stuck with the same excuses. Training. Quick decision-making is like strengthening a muscle. At first you will feel uncomfortable. You'll want to think more. Wait for the perfect moment, ask everyone's opinion. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Self-discipline is the secret. You create internal rules. I decide quickly. I trust myself. I act toward my growth. Mental reprogramming happens when you commit to this new identity of action and power. Fear hates speed. He needs time to feed, to create catastrophic scenarios in his head. When you decide quickly, you break the fear feedback loop. You say to your mind, I'm in charge here. This simple act of deciding, however small, strengthens your success mindset and brings you closer to the conscious manifestation of a life of abundance. With each courageous decision, you create new neural connections that lead you to self-improvement. Making quick decisions also activates intuition. When you don't give doubt time to erode your confidence, you learn to listen to the voice of your inner wisdom. Napoleon Hill called this connection attunement to infinite intelligence. It is the ability to perceive invisible opportunities for those who live paralyzed. By trusting this inner voice, you align yourself with the natural flow of life and the invisible forces that work in your favor. Deciding quickly is respecting your own creative power. Now imagine if your every decision was a firm step towards success, without the interference of fears planted in your subconscious. Imagine the speed at which you would manifest your dreams. And speaking of illusions that deceive us, in the next step you will discover the most shocking truth of all. Fear is just an illusion created by your own mind. And the way you see this truth will change everything you think about your limitations. I'm going to tell you something that you may have already noticed. This content really transforms lives. So how about clicking like now and subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed? Now I want you to tell me what would you feel if you knew that all the fear that paralyzes you is, in fact, just an illusion created by your mind? Napoleon Hill reminds us that fear is a mental construct, a ghost projected by our limiting beliefs. He looks real, it hurts like it's real, but it is just a thought, an image created by past experiences, misinterpretations, and a lack of conscious control of the mind. And like all illusions, fear can be undone by the light of awareness. Imagine someone who dreams of changing careers, but feels overwhelming panic at the thought of quitting their job. In her head, the fear is gigantic, but in reality, what exists is just a succession of negative thoughts. What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if I don't find another opportunity? These are all projections, not facts. The power of the mind is so great that it can build invisible walls. But the truth is that these walls crumble at the first step of conscious action. When you start observing your thoughts without identifying with them, you realize, wait a minute, this is just a story I'm telling myself. This simple perception begins to dissolve fear. Mental reprogramming happens when you exchange these stories of limitation for narratives of personal growth, professional development, and manifesting abundance. The mind can be your jailer or your liberator. The choice is always yours, with every thought, with every decision. Napoleon Hill emphasized that fear only has power over those who believe in it. If you treat fear as an absolute truth, it dominates you. If you treat fear as a passing illusion, it loses its power. The subconscious mind absorbs everything you feed it with repeated emotion. Therefore, positive thinking needs to be a state cultivated with love, discipline, and intention. Every time you choose to trust yourself instead of fear, you weaken the invisible chain that binds you. Want a powerful practice? Whenever you feel afraid, stop and ask, is what is scaring me an objective truth or a story my mind has created? Write the answer. Dismantle fear like dismantling a magic trick. The manifestation of an abundant life requires this skill, distinguishing reality from illusion. When you learn to see fear for what it is, just a projected shadow, you become free to create any reality you desire. Fear is like a bad dream. It feels real while you're sleeping. But when you awaken, you realize that it was just an illusion, with no power over you. Waking up to the truth of fear is waking up to its true power. It is accessing the energy of abundance, growth, conscious manifestation. Whoever dominates his own mind, dominates his own destiny. And that, my friend, is not a pretty metaphor. It's a law as real as gravity. And if up until now you've started to see fear with different eyes, then get ready. Because now, the most decisive moment of all has arrived. The moment when you will need to make an internal, powerful, and definitive choice. In the next step, we will talk about how to take control and decide to overcome fear today and change the course of your life forever. There comes a time in every seeker's journey when they need to make a radical decision. Remain a prisoner of their own fears or free themselves once and for all to live their true potential. Napoleon Hill taught us that this decision is the turning point between a life of limitations and a life of abundance. Deciding is more than a mental act. It is an emotional commitment, an energetic choice. It is declaring to the universe with every fiber of your being that you choose personal growth, mind power, and conscious manifestation. It doesn't matter how many times you have backed down in the past. It doesn't matter how many failures you have collected. What matters is what you decide from now on. The past is just an archive of memories, but the present is a blank sheet in your hands. And believe me, the abundance, wealth, and professional development you desire are just waiting for your courageous decision. Deciding to overcome fear is opening the doors to a new reality, more aligned with who you really are. But be careful. This decision needs to be accompanied by immediate action. Napoleon Hill said that desire without action is like smoke without fire. Today, even today, choose an attitude that represents your commitment to your new life. Whether it's sending that message, signing up for that course, starting to use daily affirmations to reprogram your mind, it doesn't matter the size of the action. The important thing is that it is real, tangible. Movement, even small, breaks the spell of fear. To take control of your mind, you need to become the observer of your own thoughts. Every time fear arises, you will recognize, oh, it's just that old story again, and you will decide not to identify with it. You will choose positive thinking, the affirmation of power, the mindset of success, and each conscious choice will add up, until one day you look back and no longer recognize the person who lived, chained to their own illusions. Remember, your subconscious accepts what you repeat with emotion. If you repeat every day, I am courageous, I am powerful, I deserve abundance, over time, these truths become the new foundation of your identity. This is the true mental reprogramming that Napoleon Hill taught so much. And it's not magic, it's the science of the mind, applied with discipline, intention, and self-love. True manifestation comes from what you silently cultivate within yourself every day. You can decide, now, right now, to change the course of your story. Not tomorrow, not when it's most convenient. Now. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you want is a firm decision followed by action. Fear may have dominated your past, but it doesn't need to dominate your future. The choice is yours. It always was. And abundance is within your reach, waiting for your courage to reach out and take it. And believe me, this decision you make today is not just about overcoming fear. It's about awakening to a new dimension of your existence, where the impossible becomes possible, where your wildest dreams stop being fantasy and start to materialize before your eyes. Now tell me, will you continue to let fear steal your dreams, or will you finally take control of your life? How many more times will you accept living less than you deserve, just because you believe the lies that fear told you? Today, you have in your hands the complete map to destroy these invisible currents, awaken the power of the mind, and completely transform your reality. How much longer are you going to wait to begin your real personal growth? Are you going to leave the manifestation of your abundance for tomorrow, for later, for never? Or will you act now, with courage, with decision, knowing that every step taken from today onwards is a victory against everything they tried to make you believe about yourself? Tell me here in the comments, what is the first fear you will crush with everything you learned today? I want to know what your first big decision will be towards this new life of freedom, personal development, and abundance that you deserve to live. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take advantage now and turn on notifications. This way you will continue to receive powerful content about success mindset, mental reprogramming, affirmations, personal growth, and manifesting your dreams. We are on this journey together, and the best is yet to come. Now take a look at the video that is appearing on your screen. It can help you even more. It certainly didn't appear by chance.